Hi, guys.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Magic Hour podcast. I'm Candace.
I'm Simon. We're back for episode 3.
And we are actually
live right now.
We're
We are
live.
recording the 3rd episode of our podcast whilst streaming this live also right now on Candace's Instagram page.
But
she's gone crazy. She's lost her mind. She walked into the studio tonight and she was like, right, fuck it, we're going live. And so we're live right now. So
it was more like, fuck it, we'll do it live.
Unplanned. I've been lying on a beach all day. Do I look like a beetroot?
I mean, I'm never tan, so anything I say is out of jealousy.
Okay.
But basically,
do I look like J-Lo?
I mean, you're getting there.
Good.
You're getting there.
It's a good start. So we are back.
We're back. This is episode 3. So you guys haven't seen it yet. You guys are probably getting the 3rd week of whatever is out. So don't mind the narration. But we decided that we are going to go a little bit off the cuff today and talk about some stuff that seems very relevant.
Very relevant, and it's happening right now, which is why we are live.
That's why we're talking about it now. So we're going to open up the introductory today. We're going to talk a little bit about dating, astrology, sex, all the goodies, all the stuff you guys want to talk about. But we're also going to talk about this hot-ass emotional wave that is happening with the new moon that's coming in Cancer. It's going to be here Friday. I'll talk about some of the transits. Some of you guys have been asking about videos and stuff, so this is a fun way for me to be able to kind of serve it all up in one.
There we go. And so before we start, big shout out to Kill the Messenger.
Yeah,
Studio,
you guys
having us
are
back.
the best. You guys have had us, Hugo and Sean and everybody else.
Hugo's over
Thank you
there.
guys so much for having us. We love you, and thanks for believing in us and putting up with our shenanigans.
With her shenanigans.
My shenanigans.
I think I'm pretty chill, but whatevs.
This is like, I'm so emotional today. Like anybody.
Talk to us. So why? What's going on?
It's just, I know this sounds so fucking granola, but there's so many planets that's in Cancer, and I feel like I've been crying all day. Like all day. Like it's one thing after another. So I'm just trying to
Keep it together.
just keep it together and
So
be
Friday,
here.
full moon in Cancer. What does that mean?
New moon.
New moon. I stand corrected.
So when there's a
new
moon, when there's a new moon, you have the sun and the moon in the same degree. And so today and yesterday, we just welcomed in the summer here in the States and in this hemisphere.
Yep.
And that's when the sun enters into 0 degrees Cancer. So that's part of the reason why I'm like, all my cardinal stuff's freaking out. But when you have a new moon, you have the sun and the moon in the same degree. So it always happens the month that it's happening in that particular zodiac. Mm-hmm. So this one, for those of you guys who are astrology nerds, it's going to be at 2 degrees Cancer. So if your birthday was like yesterday, today, tomorrow, if you have anything between like 28, 29 degrees Gemini and about 5 degrees of Cancer, any personal planets, take a look. Because it'll affect you if you have a new moon on your birthday. It's new themes wherever it may be, but this is just everything in Cancer just makes me so.
Because why? What kind of sign is a Cancer?
Cancer is a water sign, and
Okay.
it's a cardinal sign, so it initiates things.
You're a water sign.
I am, and I think
So
that's
why
part of
would
the
you
reason
not
why
be... Oh,
I'm so
because you're-
emotional. I have
Right.
all 4 of my points on my chart, my ascendant, descendant, my midheaven, my IC, like everything is 0 degrees, so it all got squared. And it's like today I felt like I had this pressure that just built up until I was just like, this is a mess, and this is a mess, and this is a mess. And it's like hard for me to feel like, oh, okay, I'm a real person. I'm not Superman. And maybe, I don't know. It was just build up. So I guess it's a good thing. I guess I realize that, you'd think my tears could cure cancer or something because I'm just like ice queen. But for today it was good. My sister was there for the meltdown, so we're okay. But everything else is in Cancer too. The sun, Mercury, the planet of communication. So that's why there's a lot of talking about feelings and talking about emotions.
So people are talking about that stuff. It's not that it's so.
We're more sensitive. We're more sensitive.
Okay. So whether that is you're talking more or you're talking less.
Right.
But communication is a thing.
And Mars is in Cancer too. I mean, I'm pulling up the chart. I'm looking at what we're going to be having. But yeah, we've got Mars in Cancer, Mercury in Cancer, the sun in Cancer, the moon in Cancer. And it's just, and that day when it hits, it's going to hit somewhere around 7:10 Pacific time on Friday. Also, Mars is going to be at 12 degrees of Cancer. It's going to pretty much create a trine going to Neptune. And so Neptune is in Pisces right now. So it's a big watery mess. in my opinion.
So people who are Cancers, how is this going to affect them?
Well, having a lot of planets that are transiting your sun, it's going to create a situation where it's all shocking those particular planets. And so the sun lends energy to whatever those themes are. And so Mars in Cancer is kind of funky because I feel like Mars is so fiery and it's like very comfortable in Aries and it's very comfortable in Scorpio. But when it gets into Cancer that needs like nurturing and loving and protection, it's not that. It's so not protected and not nurturing. And so in a way, we find that sometimes Mars in Cancer can be like passive aggressive. And so we can see that people are like very touchy and like unexpectedly. And so emotions are coming from unexpected places. The nice thing that I'm seeing is that we do have a lot of planets that are going forward. We're kind of out of our retrograde season. We're out of that funk. We are still seeing the long-term aspect of Jupiter in Libra opposing, Uranus in Aries. And Saturn in Sag. So we're continuing on with, Uranus trining the North Node in Leo, also trining Saturn. And so that's still building. It's like I feel like I was giving some predictions about the 2 weeks ahead, and I could tell the past couple of days have been really rough. We've had, Sun-Saturn oppositions, which is like everybody feels like we're getting a lot of criticism, whether it's coming from our employers or being too hard on ourselves, or we're seeing that we're getting offhanded comments even from our families or from our parents. I mean, Saturn is somebody who would be a superior to us. Mm-hmm. And then we had a Saturn-Mars opposition, and a Saturn-Mercury opposition, which is like more kind of getting somebody who's helping you try to kind of, I think, work your way through constructive criticism. But then we get into all this Cancer stuff, and it's kind of like now we're really beating ourselves up, and we're kind of, I don't know, we're pulling up all of the gunk from the insides where we potentially have hurt feelings or emotions or things that we've been suppressing where we don't, necessarily feel good enough. And it's just, I can talk about it and I can talk to people about it. And still, like, to this day, when I get sideswiped with transits, I'll be like, oh, this is what this feels like. And I feel like it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's like, ugh. So I'm in that right now. So I'm trying to get out of it. So it's all right.
How can other people get out of it? What can people do what is the new moon survival?
Oh, my goodness.
Guide?
Well, hey, here, the thing is about this is actually a really nice new moon. There's not too many. Achoo!
Bless me.
Harsh
of course, that happened when we were live. That's never happened in a pre-recorded one. Never. Of course not.
It's okay. There'll be an edited one. I
apologize. I'm good.
Water signs, water elements, guys, especially when you're dealing with a lot of emotions, I would say go to the beach, be around water, take a bath, take a shower, scrub down with some salt. I mean, you want to think, Cancer likes to hide away in its shell. And so the 4th house is the ruling house of Cancer, and it's about your home. So you're also seeing a lot of people are going to be spending time at home, spending time with their family members. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like barbecuing and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily have to go all whimsical spiritual. But what I like about new moons is that they're new intentions. And so I think for a lot of you guys who are feeling this way, the energy and the transits can actually be a good thing. Like you can take all of the emotions and all of the crap that comes up and go, oh my gosh, I realize what's really important to me. And you may not get to the other side of that for a couple days. It takes a couple days to work through that, but it's a good time to set intentions, take care of yourself, nurture yourself, love yourself. You want to think about totally mothering yourself in any which way that you can, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And so sometimes you have to have like a little bit of a breakdown to have a breakthrough. And so I feel like, especially when groups of people are feeling like this, if you're somebody who is really sensitive or if you are empathic, you're just picking it up from other people.
Yeah.
And so you got to keep up with being able to keep, your auric field clear, whether you want to burn stuff or take baths or have time for meditation or have time, to reflect. It's a lot.
To protect yourself.
It's a lot. And like I said, I'm like major ice queen, but it's like today I was just like a big baby all day. It's okay. It's fine. It's all right. But like I was saying, I'm really excited about this new moon because June, I was telling somebody the other day, June is like the first month where I feel like we're actually starting to integrate the work from the other transits that we've had earlier this year.
Yeah, you've mentioned
So
that to me
now
as well.
things are moving forward. So it's weird because if you're going through your list of things right now that are overwhelming or emotional, and it might seem like a lot, anytime we have anything go through 0 degrees of a cardinal sign, it is interesting. But really, it's about getting to the heart of the matter. So I feel like even after today and after everything I was talking about and when I was working through, and I kind of was just like, well, the things that I thought were a problem aren't really a problem at all. It all really kind of stems from like core home issues. And it does have to do with mom stuff, and it does have to do with family stuff and home stuff. And so it can be very, very, very literal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? You were at the beach.
I feel good. I have to say, I feel quite good.
You have like a glow to you.
I feel a little rested. I feel pretty good. But it was so funny because for the past 2 days, all I've been saying is I need to get to the beach. I need to get to the beach. I need to see the ocean.
I probably should go before I go home.
So I spent all day there. So I feel very I've been around a lot of water.
Vibing.
Yeah.
You're vibing with the water. That's interesting. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because you're like earth and fire and stuff. So
to get through like this new moon, which is in Cancer and water.
It is. And I think that like the reason why this is so intense is because you have so many planets that are coupled up around that 0 degrees. And so not every new moon or full moon is felt the same way by everyone. But I feel like for what I've seen the past couple of days and the people that I'm talking to and the stuff that's going on, it's a lot of heart-centered issues that people are working through. And so I'm going to do what cardinal signs do best, and I'm going to just throw it into work because I think probably a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about people are going to resonate with, because part of the reason why we wanted to do the podcast was to talk to you guys and tell you guys, like, I'm a real person. I have problems. I work through things. I have relationship stuff. I have life stuff. And I think that I'm starting to learn that I have to have these experiences to be able to help other people. So with that being said, I want to talk about the one thing that you and I love to talk about. That's like boys, like dating and relationships, because
Yay! Just because I love a good chat, gossip, we get into it when it comes to this.
But also not just dating and relationships, but I have joked so much with my girlfriends who are in this type of work, whether you're, a life coach or you're a yoga teacher or you're spiritually inclined and you're a reader, or if you're just a conscious person, I would have to say dating in Los Angeles is a bit of a shit show. It's
crazy.
And I say women, I mean,
I think
you're
across
a girl.
the board.
You're a girl to me.
No, I don't like that. That's bad.
But you get what I'm saying. When it comes to dating men, I think that men and women are going to have the same argument that it's difficult dating in the city. But
try men dating men.
I can't imagine.
You think that's a fucking shit show? Jesus.
I think it's just really difficult to be relatively conscious in somebody who has a little bit of a different lifestyle and to be actively pursuing having a relationship, and either A, somebody not thinking that you're crazy, B, being able to find somebody who's going to understand the weird quirks and things that you have about your lifestyle, and like C, just being able to find somebody who maybe has the same interests. I mean, I've scoured the internet. I have looked for some time, and it's like I'm starting to wonder. There are little sites and get-togethers and things that are popping up that is about, people who are spiritually conscious and they're dating, but I'm still not seeing a lot of it.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. So like, where do you find these people is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Where? Well, I don't walk into a bar and start talking to somebody about what I do for a living. I mean, at times I've told people, but I don't feel like that's the kind of place I would pick somebody up anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little difficult, and it's been like dragging myself through the mud. And I want to know what your views on it are, because I know since we've been friends, you've had a little bit more of a spiritual practice and your outlook has kind of opened up a little bit more. Do you feel like you integrate that at all when you're dating and you talk to people about that stuff?
It's always been something that I've been interested in, so it always comes up.
Okay.
The response has always been open and positive towards it, for me.
Okay.
But then I am not you. I'm not a psychic, or I'm not like a clairvoyant. I'm just me, and I'm like, oh, I'm into this. I read those kind of books, and I kind of believe this a little bit, because back then it was a little bit,
Right.
And everyone was like, oh, that's cool, Nobody's kind of been like, you'll shut me down and being like, you're a freak. In fact, probably the most open person to all of that was
Really?
Yeah.
Thou who shall not be named.
Yeah.
The name is Voldemort. His name is Voldemort.
Yeah. So,
and he was very open to it. Okay.
I feel like a lot of people are these days.
They are,
but then I guess it is this. Maybe it's surface level. Yeah, that sounds great. And so you really get into it, and you're sat in your kitchen with you, and your eyes start doing that thing, and you start going to that other place that she goes.
I think for a really long time, I didn't really tell people what I was doing because number one, it's not everybody's business what I do for a living.
Of course.
Fortunately, unfortunately, the day of social media. We've got, you see it on your Tinder profiles. You see it. You can go and search somebody and you can go and take a look at their social media and see what they're doing, which is fine. I don't have anything to hide, but I think that I'm I guess more or less kind of venting because I feel like there are a lot of other people out there who are dealing with it. And I also want to poke fun at the fact that like you and I have talked a lot about dating and sex and relationships and experiences that we have had. And I think what's really nice, and it goes really well, it pairs really well with the fact that my moon is in my 7th house of relationships, is I've had a complete shit show of things going on in my personal life. And maybe that helps me give people advice. Mm-hmm. It hasn't made me jaded thus far, knock on wood. But it has given me a lot of experience. And I think a lot of it's because I've had Uranus go through my 7th house for the past 7 years, 8 years. I mean, if you think about it, my entire dating experience has just been very Uranian. People come in, people go out, I meet people, I have experiences, I learn through the experiences, and I talk about it. And I don't think that enough people are out there talking about the struggles of finding somebody who is grounded and able to have some kind of practice. It doesn't mean that you have to be a totally, you drank the Kool-Aid, gone off the deep end spiritual person. But it's hard to find people who understand that you may not have a lifestyle where you want to go out and party or where you don't want to go out and have multiple partners or it's a fine line. And I think that that's probably why my stories are very one end of the spectrum or the other. It's, I met somebody and we hooked up on the first date versus, I met somebody through this spiritual person and we ended up talking for 3 hours and then decided that after 2 months of hanging out and having a platonic relationship that they are my twin flame. And so it's really hard. I joke and I call it muggles. Muggles, like muggles, I think, are more likely what I've had a tendency to date. Mm-hmm. People who are not spiritually inclined and people who don't necessarily discredit it, but that's not their practice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've talked to a lot of other people, and I just think that it's really interesting, although I don't really have entirely too much room to complain now because I do have a boyfriend.
No, she does.
So I do have a boyfriend, and he's great. He's a Virgo. But I wanted to talk about that.
So let me ask you this. What should people be going into a dating or relationship-y situation, like really focusing on, like for their soul? Is it the sex? Is it the bond, like the friendship? Like what is the... I think you're like a love guru.
Which is so ironic. Well, it's interesting because part of what I like to focus on with sex and astrology is the planetary placements of like the moon for the emotions, Mars is like the passion, and Venus is like how you would want to be loved versus I feel like Mars is how like you would do the loving. So everybody is going to be different. There's no right or wrong way to go about it. I've had relationships with people that picked up very quickly and went for months, if not years. And I've had other relationships with people where it was months before we even decided to get together.
To do anything.
But I think I am like, it's been trial and error for me of having, like I said, one extreme or the other before learning that I can't just jump into a relationship and I can't just jump into something because I think it's a good idea. And it was a lot of like having somebody around, being very convinced it was a good thing, going the opposite way.
Why do people still jump in?
You're asking me this? You're asking me this? Because we want, everybody wants to be loved. People want to be loved. They want to have love. They want to have affection. They want to have acknowledgement. They want to have companionship.
So then why is it then when somebody is open, then the other person fucking shuts down?
I think you've got a lot of really insecure people who have become jaded by the game, like the dating game. Mm-hmm. And because we live in a world right now where it's whoever shows the least amount of interest is the one who's winning.
Yeah.
So you'll play this, we'll hang out, we'll hook up. I'll text them, you know, in the middle of the day 3 weeks later and see if I get a response. But I can't respond too fast because then I look too available.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so
sad.
It's so weird. But at the same time, though, and this is why I brought this up, it's like I don't feel like people necessarily in the spiritual realm completely date all that differently, because I know I've done it. I know other people have done it where they'll rush into something, whether it's emotionally or physically. I feel like, I don't know, just frustration. It's just frustration. And I wonder if there's any other people. Obviously, we're gonna get something. And we'll give you guys the email so you can write in and you can tell us about your experiences, because
yes.
Have you online dated?
Yeah.
You have, right? Okay.
Oh my God, yeah. I've had some amazing dates that turned into relationships. I had one of those, actually. But the bad dates that I've been on, I've been on some real bad ones.
I mean,
well, it depends what you're
stories.
into. No, I probably won't, but I've just had some real bad ones.
I'm just wondering, how are people dating? I want to know. I really would like to know, how are people dating and how are people meeting people right now? Because I've online dated. I think it's been okay. It's been more of a miss than it's been a hit. I've had a couple people come from that. But I think that it's kind of a weird situation to put yourself out there and say that you're emotionally available or say that you're available for a relationship and start to play the game and then kind of drop off.
That seems to be the thing.
Why are people doing this?
I don't know.
It's so frustrating.
Because it's like they think that's what I mean. Like, so fundamentally, I agree with you. I think everybody does want to be loved and to be with someone. So, but then people are like, yes, this is what I want. And then as soon as it's within reach, maybe...
I think
it's
people,
like, no, I don't want this anymore. I'm really leaning into it.
It's very...
I feel like I have to lean into it.
It's very grass is greener, I guess, in a way. But, you know, okay. So,
but why is that? Is that because of like the technology around us and the way... Because everything's moving so fast. I think it's because
you have so many options. I think of online dating as window shopping, and it's just a bunch of man-meat. And so it's like you can go through and look at all of the photos and you can send messages. And if one person's not answering, then you get a message from somebody else. And because we have so much at our fingertips, whether it's a dating app or if it's, you know, food delivery service or, you know, whatever, we can get everything like that. And so I was watching an article. I'm glad that this is circling to this.
Okay.
Watching a video on Facebook. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, but there was some guy who was giving a conversation and he was lecturing and he was saying that basically millennials, because we have everything that we want immediately, the reason why we can't have a relationship is that you can't fast forward a relationship. You can't fast forward feelings. And you also can't fast forward recognition at work. So we've got a generation of kids who are trying to speed their way through relationships and they're failing because we're not having real time put into the relationship, to spending time to get to know somebody, to allow it to evolve. And we're also rushing, expecting to have success in our careers. And
like that, because you see somebody win the X Factor after 6 weeks.
Right.
It's true.
Well, yeah, that and the fact, I mean, there's a lot of other factors. If you guys have seen it, thank you for watching it. If you haven't, go and look for it. I wish I knew who it was, but I remember listening to this being like, oh my God, this is so true. So with that being said, maybe that's the problem. It's that people aren't taking the time to get to know people, because it's like, I don't really feel like I have started to figure out my groove until recently. And I do think that part of that is me just totally throwing in the towel. And I remember talking to you about it back in like February. I was like, fuck it.
I'm done.
Because it's really safe to say the last several people who I dealt with on a romantic level were super cool. We're all in, I think, until they really realized what I was doing. And then they were like, oh my God, I don't know about this. And it was like, bing, bye. And once they kind of got the motion of like, no, this is not a hobby. This is how I pay my bills. This is my life. Yeah. And I give advice for a living and I can look at charts for a living. That all of a sudden it became this like ghost scenario, which I have to be really honest with. I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And it's interesting that this is all happening and that we decided to start talking about this, because I was talking to my sister and she kept saying to me, she was like, you know, this is happening for a reason and you don't need people like that in your life. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm not going to let it get to me. But somebody circled back around. Somebody came back. Somebody who was extra particularly not so nice to me and made a point of being kind of sort of together for a period of time.
Oh, you wanted to say his name so badly, but I know you won't. But I'm trying to...
well, okay, I'll give you a couple of clues. First things first, he was an Aquarius, which was an automatic no-go. But that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. But It's very fascinating to me that maybe this is happening for a reason and maybe there was a purpose behind it. But he made a point of telling me basically that my lifestyle was too logical. I'll tell you who it is. I'll tell you who it is. Don't worry. Okay. But his lifestyle, my lifestyle was illogical. That he didn't see how I could be a normal person or have a normal life, and that what I did freaked him out, and it wasn't going to work out, and he should have considered all of that before jumping in and potentially starting a relationship. And basically,
this is
really hurt my feelings. Really hurt my feelings, but that's okay. It's okay. No, because I'm realizing why this is all evolving the way that it's evolving. And basically it was just like, you know what? I don't think I can do this. And I hope you understand, and felt the need to continue to keep the conversation going and explaining it away before finally I just stopped responding. So that was part of throwing in the towel a couple of months ago. And what I realized from that was I think I went through a period of kind of shaming myself, which is like ridiculous. It didn't need to happen, but shaming myself and also wanting to like almost dumb down what I'm doing and not want to talk about it. And I only talked about this to a very few select friends about being like, I'm basically not going to tell people what I do for a living because it either freaks them out and it's keeping me from having a relationship or keeping me from having a normal life. Before a couple of people baby shook me and was like, no, like who cares? Like it doesn't matter. Yeah. So I left everything alone. I didn't touch anything. I was just like, you know what? You're right. And I'll be full disclosure when I have to be and yada, yada, yada. So long story short, everything happens for a reason. I met my boyfriend. We've been together for like a couple months now. So it's nice and he's normal and it's great. But somebody did circle back around recently. And it was very interesting to me because he sent a message and he said, I was looking at the moon last night and I was thinking of you and I hope you're doing well. And I about fucking fell over in my chair because I was like, wait a second, what? And then I sat with it and I was like, all right, so I'll respond to him. I got the message late and I responded and basically didn't really know what to say. It was just kind of like, I don't know why you came back around, but thanks for your apology, and didn't really know what to say. And then he felt the need to continue the conversation, was like, listen, I should have given you a chance, yada, yada, yada. We really hit it off. You're a good girl, and I've been thinking about this a lot. And I'm like, what takes you 3 months to think about this? Like, what the hell?
Wow.
But then he was like, you know, we should get together. And I immediately was just, I'm learning not to give people a reaction. I'm trying. And the more that I thought about it, I was like, no, I'm not going to, no. And I just was very polite. And I said to him, you know, I hope that you learned something. Thanks for getting back to me. I appreciate it. Sure, I accept your apology, whatever. But, and by the way, I really do think everything happens for a reason, because in the midst of you not really having it together, I met someone else. Mm-hmm. And it was like this aha moment that for me was like, no, you can't suppress it. You can't not talk about it. It can't not be a part of your life. And like, maybe we do meet people for a reason, whatever role that played in his belief system or his ability to see past maybe judging people based off of what they do for a living. I don't know, but it's just a little bit odd. So one by one, people have been coming back recently that I've been hearing from and talking to. And so part of me is wondering what clicked, and like, what about our interaction, whether it was romantic or not, what clicked and what in their mind changed. And then all of a sudden it was like the karma was gone. It's just odd. Do you believe that you meet everybody for a reason, that there's a purpose behind everything?
I mean, no.
No.
Yes, I feel like yes is the answer I'm supposed to give, and I'm sure yes is the correct. No. Look, I think yes is the correct answer, but I don't think I'm there yet in terms of certain people who I've met. I still don't fucking know why. Do you know what I mean?
You haven't gotten to the other side of that? Not yet? You're not there? I mean, I'm not judging you. You're supposed to be the counterpart, so you should challenge this stuff.
No. I just mean like, well, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I have no idea why it happened. I don't understand what the lesson was, because I don't think I am inherently bad.
I think the most amazing thing about getting to the other side of just a train wreck of a breakup is like, number one, I have actually really come to admire and love breakups.
I don't even look at that as a breakup anymore.
Oh my God.
No, because I don't even think that whatever the fuck was going on all that time was anything. Maybe that was the lesson. I don't fucking know.
A breakup makes you realize that you can have your fucking heart ripped out of your chest and it's like, oh, I'm still alive and breathing. Great. Okay, cool. So it's like I have to keep going. Because for me, it's been a wake-up call. But I think that coming out the other side of a horrible breakup, for me, it's always been some kind of like epiphany. And like, oh my God, I'm 6 months, 8 months, a year down the road, now I can look at stuff that happened last year and I can be like, oh, thank God that I had that experience. Yeah. And it's a good thing that it happened because it put a lot of other things in motion for me personally.
Yeah. I think by the time I went through that, it was the breakup was the least stressful part.
Yeah.
In comparison to what the relationship had been. I'm using, for those who are listening, in what are they
bunny
called?
Ears, quotations.
Bunny ears. Like, for what the relationship had been, the breakup was the fucking relief.
Okay, so now you're pulling cards. Okay, so you're pulling cards.
Yeah.
What the hell? Do you pull them like when you're dating somebody?
I mean, I try.
He gets so antsy.
I try. Yeah, okay. A little bit. And I mean, I still have the handbook that like goes with it. And I kind of have to look at that every time.
Well, because...
But it's crazy how it is relevant.
It's accurate. Yeah. It's crazy how accurate it is.
It really is.
I was working an event this weekend for an opening for a hotel, and it was really interesting because I got a chance to read for a lot of people who don't usually get tarot readings. And the one thing that kept coming, people kept leaving with saying is like, oh my God, I didn't realize how accurate it is. It's just so specific, and it'll really kind of pick up and pull out on things that maybe you don't want to admit. I don't know. I can't read for myself. I try to read for myself. I can't. And so what I thought would be really cool is that we could read for each other.
Oh my God, I would
And so I'm going to drop this on. Okay, so you're going to read me.
Oh my God, I'm going to read you. This is amazing.
This is going to be amazing.
I feel like there's a lot of people out there who would want to like kill
and
to do
I
this,
don't
actually.
let anyone read my cards. I'm a very private person, but I feel like I'm in a very raw emotional state and I'm very open, and I'd be happy to read for you too.
Okay.
And hear about the boy stuff, because there are a lot of good things to be celebrating right now. And I do think that even if it has been a bit rocky...
Is he coming back, the other one, the mean one? What can you sense? Because I don't think he is anymore. I think that's done.
I hope not.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out.
Oh, God. Okay. So I will shuffle them, and you're going to pull 10 cards for me?
Yeah, I'll read for you. So
no, I'm reading for you.
Okay, we're going to read for each other. Okay, so,
Boo-boo.
All right. So you want me to shuffle?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and then you'll hand them to me, then I'll pick 10.
Exactly.
Celtic Cross?
Sure, if you can read.
Here we go. I'm throwing out all this terminology and I'm about to make myself look like a fucking idiot.
No, it's very interesting.
Bring
because
it
one
on.
of the biggest things that I really like about tarot is I love people who read intuitively, like with all respect to learning, the sacred symbols and everything that goes into each of the cards and everything. So much of it is intuitive, and I encourage and I teach intuitive reading and how to almost read it like it's a story.
Yeah.
So I welcome that. And I think I'm at a point where it's like, honest to God, I love you guys. And if I did not have this meeting today, I would probably be going and getting a reading. That's how I feel.
I get like that.
So let's see what the Oracle has to say, because I'm very interested, and I also would like to talk about the boy stuff and take a look at that stuff, because I like how we have code. We can talk about things without completely letting the cat out of the bag.
So what am I doing? Am I pulling 10 cards for you, or do you need to pick the cards for you?
How about I'm gonna break it, and then
you break it, and then I'll pick 10 cards. Oh no, you pick. Okay.
You want me to fan it out and pull 10? How do you want it? You're the psychic.
Oh gosh, fan it out. Oh,
it's okay. We're just gonna do this.
Because they haven't been fanned out before. Then give me 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got 2 there. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Oh my gosh.
Did I do that right?
You did. Yay. You did. It's the...
Right, before we go any further, I'm not wearing a watch today.
I'm keeping an eye on. We're doing okay.
We with time?
We're good.
Are we doing good?
Yep, I'm watching it.
How long have we been going for?
Maybe for like 30 minutes or so.
Right,
we've got some time.
Sweet. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so this first card that I'm going to pull is the one on top, and this is where you presently are right now.
Okay.
With everything.
Okay.
I do need you to confirm this.
Yes.
Because this is...
And what's crossing me?
So I thought underneath is what was crossing you. I thought this is where you are right now.
I just do them straight up. I don't flip them over, but this is fine. So however you want to do it, go with it.
Oh God,
so
okay.
That's fine.
So the first that you have is the Ace of Swords, the Lord of the Root and the Powers of Air.
Okay. So new beginnings.
Okay.
In terms of communications or an opportunity to have a conversation, or, swords can be used to draw a line in the sand or to defend yourself. And so this is about my voice or messages that I'm receiving.
Okay.
Okay.
That resonates with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about stuff that I have to say.
And you're saying it right now.
Yeah.
Live on the air.
I know.
Okay. I told you I wasn't very good. Second card is what's coming up. That's the Death card reversed.
Okay.
So because it's reversed, this is like the new beginning.
The Death card is the Death card is the Death card all the way through. But reversals is kind of like, I tell people, if you guys think about a funeral, you've got two people. You've got the person wearing like the horrific Hawaiian shirt, and the Hawaiian shirt, and they're like celebrating life, and they're super uppity, and they're happy because they know that it's a new beginning. I would consider that like the Death card upright. There's no easy way to deal with the Death card.
That's the Death card upright.
Now reversed is like the aunt that's screaming and crying and like clutching onto the casket and won't let it go. So this is kind of saying like, I'm having some concern. This is very accurate so far. I'm having some concerns, and I'm thinking a lot about how I want to come across to people, or how I want to be directing my what I have to say. Like things are changing in terms of how I'm thinking and how I'm communicating.
Okay, and can I mean, since as we put, is communicating in terms of your relationships or your business or both?
Both, everything. I think the way that I'm communicating is changing.
Okay.
Current.
Do you see that as being changing for the positive right now, or is it?
I love the Death card. The Death card is the card for Scorpio. So it's like without an ending, we can't have a rebirth. And so I think that this is a lot of like, you're seeing a lot of this playing out for me right now. It's a lot of me being like, this is really hard for me to change my thought patterns, my communication patterns, the message that I'm wanting to get out.
Okay. So we're going to go to this one, which is, oh no, my goodness.
For me, I consider that that's what crowns you. So what you need to know that's going on above you, and what you have that's at your disposal.
Coming up? Something coming up?
No, just what's currently above you, or what I have to pull on for strength.
Okay. So that is I can't even read that.
What is it? The Hierophant.
Reverse.
Okay.
That is the crown, and that is above you.
Okay.
Could you break that down? I literally have to sit there with a book.
I literally feel like that's me getting bad advice. Getting bad advice. I think that I consider the Hierophant like counsel, or someone I would go to, or a group that I would go to for support or for guidance. And I feel like if it's reversed, it may be, something that's against the grain, or it may not necessarily be something that is ideal, or it may not be something that is positive. It might be coming from a place of like fear and manipulation or control, not necessarily from a place of like, oh yeah, this is what happens. This is what you do.
And does that sit with you right now, or do you think that's potentially something?
I think it's really hard for me to get advice when I give advice for a living. I don't think it's easy for me to get advice because I so many people are going to have an opinion, and most of the time I don't even completely speak my mind because I like to keep things to myself. But that's fascinating because it's kind of saying, in a way, I bring it back to the ace. It's like, you know what you need to say, you know what you need to do, and it may not necessarily be within a group.
Wow. Okay. Then we'll move to the fourth card.
Oh, that's the Tower.
The Tower. Okay.
Okay, so that's for me, that placement is like, what basically what is potentially coming next or what to be expecting. And so I think the Tower and the Death card are basically saying like things need to change. This is not, if I'm going to be building a strong foundation about what I think and my ideas and my values, then I have to make a change. It has to be kind of like literally gutting everything out and removing everything, all of the rot with both hands.
Wow. That's so much.
It is, but it's interesting because it's pretty accurate this far. So
okay.
Let's see what else there is. What's beneath me?
Okay, what is beneath you? Beneath you is the Last Judgment reversed.
So the Judgment card. So basically, I see that as like the final call or like the final showdown or an opportunity to clear something or to, to end something and allow the cycle to complete. In my opinion, if it's reversed, it's kind of saying like it's just going to keep happening until you put your foot down or until you make the decision that it's done or until you make the decision that you're going to commit to this, that you're going to continue to keep seeing the same pattern come back. It's not over until you actually build it the right way. You're not going to have anything that's going to be sustainable until you do it the right way.
I feel like you do so much the right way.
Yeah, but it's I'll explain it to you. Let me see the past card.
Okay. So in your past we have the Princess of Swords reversed.
Okay. So I actually will take that. So that's the Page of Swords in other tarot decks. Okay. And so when you think about a page, it's a little kid running around with a sword. It's not always being as responsible or not always being as knowledgeable or not always delivering the message the best way. And so I'll take that in the past because I think it's also about learning as you go of how to communicate and how to relay messages and how to talk about things. So that's pretty accurate.
Flip the last four.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got the Hangman. We have the Six of Swords reversed. We have the King of Cups reversed. We have the Six of Wands reversed.
Okay. So I read the last four a little bit differently than some people. So
I'm going to go with your flow because you are the magic person.
I see this as, what's going to be happening in the immediate right now that can't really be changed, or this is, the situation at hand. The Hangman is basically saying I'm kind of in limbo. It's like you can't go left and you can't go right. It's a moment of reflection. I see the Hangman is like that epiphany or that flash that you have right before you die, or the vision that you get when you're tuning into another world. I mean, you see him hanging upside down and getting some kind of information from another realm. And so it's about perspective and not being reactionary. It's about being able to take it all in before making a decision. Wow. So then the next placement, this card, I see that as like the situation that surrounds you that you have no control over. So if I had my hands tied behind my back, this is what's going to be happening and I can't control any of this stuff. Six of Swords, that's a limbo card, and it's talking about picking up and going somewhere and picking up and either being in between, being in transition, going from point A to point B. It can be about travel. It can be about movement. The swords are about intellect. So I see the six as like being an opportunity to reflect, and it's that pause before you move forward. And if it's reversed, it's saying basically, A, you may not be necessarily going anywhere at the time for the time being, and B, it's a pause, I think, to reflect on whether or not that's the direction I'm going to go in. And so both of those cards to me say like that's being held up, emotionally or physically or quite creatively. It's you can't move forward quite yet. And then your best fears and your worst case scenario. So what you hope for and or what you're also afraid of. And it's interesting, the King of Cups reverse. So emotionally being able to master something. Can I handle what I'm feeling? Can I handle what I have to say? Am I really coming from a place of like being and speaking, my truth? I think that it's interesting because
your truth to yourself,
to myself, emotionally. Okay. Cups are emotions. And then that's what, the Seven of Wands?
Six of Wands.
Six of Wands.
That is reversed as well.
Okay. So I see that as, a delay, potentially not being well received, potentially it not being something that can be celebrated or be welcomed. And I think that all stems from what I was telling you, the emotional stuff. And I think I'm going through a little bit of a transition with, how do I want to come across to people? How do I want to speak to people? How do I want people to see me? What do I want to be participating in? And it all goes back to that Ace of Swords and how I want to communicate and how I want to speak to people. It's
the first card that we pulled.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because to me, it's pretty accurate. I don't feel like it's very relationshipy. I feel like it's more kind of about the relationship emotionally with myself.
But that's because you're in a great relationship with a really hot guy. I've seen his Facebook pics. I stalk. Sorry. Okay.
I hope he's watching this.
So you just read yourself, essentially. I mean, I pulled the cards and I put them in the right order, but you read yourself. I have no skills yet, but I'm learning.
And listen, tarot is also about perspective. So many readers are going to read things in so many different ways, and I'm sure there's people watching it that are even going to be like, I don't know about that.
Really,
but
wow.
But I think that was, it resonated. It may not, like I said, it may not be what I want to hear, but I think it's applicable. It's just emotional changes, things changing. What I thought I wanted in terms of the work that I'm doing it's evolving, it's changing. I want it to be more about a human connection and information and being able to relate to other people. I don't know about you guys, but I'll watch all kinds of spiritual stuff and I'm like, I don't relate to any of this shit at all. It's not always applicable in my life.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Okay.
But you don't have to tell me much about the dude stuff.
Well, look, no, because this is why we're doing this. We're gonna. Okay, we're not live anymore.
It's okay.
Welcome back.
They'll have to get some piece of it later.
They're gonna be going, no, how do I watch that? And then they're gonna be fast forwarding to the story. Yeah. Okay, so now I don't want to sound like a thought or anything like that, but there's been 3, including. There's been 3, really.
Okay.
One very recent.
Okay.
One through not the best circumstance.
Okay. I'm following.
That one, and then that one.
Okay.
The big one. So there's been 3. You know. Obviously, what's going on right now is very, very new and very different feeling.
And he is a Cancer.
He is a Cancer.
So he's an emotional.
Gosh.
Emotional little being.
He wouldn't be watching this now, so this is amazing. Okay. Here's
I
my
hope
10.
not.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh my goodness. So I guess you can't go back and watch the live. I don't know if I would want to. I probably. 9. Were people talking? They were.
How many viewers did we have?
Quite a few. Really?
Okay.
People are like, what the hell is she doing now? Can I have a code name for him? What's his code name?
For which one? The most recent?
Yeah.
I mean...
Just give me...
Rio.
Okay. I mean, I guess...
That doesn't give the fucking game away.
All right.
We'll do Rio, Mexico, and Venice.
Clearly, there's a theme here. You sound like me. I finally made my way back to the white side. I did. Right, I love the Latin men, but you know what? I think it's just too much. It's too much for them.
Nope, it's not. And we'll definitely cut that line out.
Oh my God, you got... What?
Back to the white side. You can't say that.
I can't say that?
No.
Okay, I hope you guys cut this out then, because... Whoops. I guess I should have said the light side. Okay, so all right. So first things first, let me just take a look at all of these because you've got a couple aces here. Okay. So Knight of Wands crossed with is that real? Oh, King of Wands crossed with the Knight of Wands. 4 of Wands on top, 10 of Cups in the back, Ace of Cups in the back, 9 of Cups, Tower, the Hierophant. Okay, first of all, you have a lot of the same cards as me.
Okay.
Okay, there's a couple, which I feel like it's really interesting. So it's not just me.
Okay.
You also have a couple different court cards coming up. So you said there were 3 men?
I mean, there's been 3 significant.
Okay.
Over a longer period of time than you're imagining, podcast listeners.
Okay. What I'm really focusing on is we're talking about Rio, so let's just keep it to Rio.
Okay, we're talking about
Every
Rio.
time I say that, I'm going to think about some flamboyant man. That's like wearing a
full-blown... So the
full-blown...
opposite, which is fine, and that's why they have a code name, Rio.
Okay, all right, I love it. Let's talk about where you're at and what's crossing you, and I'm going to get really real. So those of you guys who haven't had a reading with me, you're going to see what it's like. Baptism by fire. You have the Knight of Wands crossing the King of Wands reversed, which means first things first, the theme here is that you're fucking with people who are not like in their power. Like they're not working within their power. Like you've got the king, but he's crossed by the knight and the king's reversed. So it's basically saying there is energy here to move forward if the energies can be balanced. And so you've got two people on two different platforms that are interacting with each other, even though it's the same element. And it's passionate because it's fire. The top card that you have that's crowning you is the Four of Wands. And so I do feel like it's saying there is an invitation, there is plans that are being made, there's something in the works to be able to get together and celebrate something. The Four of Wands can be seen as like a temporary situation. It can be a parade. It can be live music. It can be anything that has to do with stage or the arts or performing. And so it's also saying there is a temporary situation that's going on where you have been welcomed into it. In the past, you have the Ten of Cups reversed. So I see that as getting a little bit entirely too involved in something and getting your hopes up and getting really excited about something. And it seems like it could be a fairy tale ending, but it's not. What's ahead of you, Ace of Cups reversed. So it's also saying, pay attention. You've got the ending of a cycle here, and because it has not been completed, you're trying to start again. You're trying to welcome a new relationship. So the key is to not kind of follow with past patterns, to not allow yourself to kind of have this situation where you're either not getting immediate recognition or you're not getting your cup, filled up. You're not getting all of the love. You're not getting the new beginning. If you're not getting it, it's like, oh my God, I'm not winning. What's beneath you? So then we have the Knight of Cups reversed. And so in a way, it's kind of saying like, where do you stand in this? Are you waiting for somebody to do the reaching out, or are you not the one reaching? Are you not the one stepping up? Because the Knight of Cups he's like the knight in shining armor. So he'll reach out and he sticks his hand out and he's very loving and he's very warm and he'll offer you something. But when it's reversed, it's saying it may not be something where somebody's doing it wholeheartedly. They may not be doing and acting with their truest passion. Also, Tower reversed. So it's what you're doing right now is the foundation is being relaid. So you have the opportunity now to start over and to rebuild something. What is happening right now? The Hierophant, and it's upright. So it's talking about like getting advice and getting counsel from something or someone who is going to like kind of lay you straight and be like, listen, this is how it really is.
That's you right now.
Potentially, which is ironic. And then you have the Ace of Wands reversed in the best case scenario, worst case scenario. Best case scenario, worst case scenario. I'm going to be really blunt. It's very interesting to me, and I joke about this when I teach the tarot classes, but it's like Knight of Wands to me, that's like the booty call card. That's the hookup card. Ace of Wands, that's the spiritual, sexual connection. That's the passion. That's the intimacy. It's the fear. I'm going to get emotionally wrapped up and he's not going to reciprocate, and then I'm going to have a disconnection and I'm afraid of the disconnection. What is really interesting to me is the final card, and the final card is the Queen of Cups. And so basically it's not so much about the connection that you have with other people, it's about the connection that you have with yourself. And so also it could be putting off physical relations with someone and allowing it to come from a place of, no, I'm not going to kind of build this potential relationship on, a shoddy situation. I may want to go about things in a more traditional way. I may not jump wholeheartedly into sex and romance. I may have to pull back a little bit. And I guess the question is, are you ready? Are you ready for a romantic connection? Or are you going to get afraid? Are you going to get scared? And are you going to disconnect before somebody else potentially disconnects? Is this something that could burn up overly fast? What it's saying is with the Queen of Cups is you have to manage and balance your emotions and your ideas before you move forward. You have to make sure that you're ready, because if you're coming from a place of fear, then it's true. Then you may end up creating your own reality. I tell people we become the stories that we tell. So if you're telling there's been 3 people and it's blown up and it didn't go so well and there was this involvement and I thought it was it and then all of a sudden it wasn't and I lost it. Yeah. Are you still telling that story?
Yeah.
Don't tell that story, because it's literally having an energetic effect on the future. And so, and I don't know anything. I can see that you're going to see him. it's coming. So you will be spending time with him. And so it's about being present with what's going on. And don't get me wrong, you want to hook up with somebody, that's fine. I'm the last person to pass judgment on that stuff. But I think it's about doing things differently and not...
It is about doing things differently.
Rushing into something, which I'm not beating up because I know that you've been good thus far. You've been a good boy. And I don't really feel like this is something that's physically happening. It's more kind of saying this is what's going on subconsciously and that you're trying to kind of be like, no, I need to do the formula differently this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I can say that you're going to see him, but I also can see that the only way to avoid this tower situation from happening is to quite literally put yourself in a position where you're doing it really old school. And you're going about it really old school. And I know that in a way it might have to be this way considering the circumstances. I don't want to let too much out of the bag, but you might have to do that. And I don't think it's a bad thing, not to mention the fact that, you know, I see the King or the Queen of Cups. It's a water sign. He is a water sign. This is talking about what you're connecting to, but also this is not a situation with somebody who's going to rush into something. It's like they want to be courted. They want to be loved. They want to be treated the way that they want to be treated. And so...
This is true.
You're going to have to...
Same.
Yeah, but the thing is that I feel like if you're not receiving it always...
Then I won't give it.
Then you won't give it. And so that's the thing. It's about giving unconditionally without any expectations, which is not easy to do because when we send a text, we want a response. When we call somebody, we want a response. And, you know, and he has a very different way of going about dating and handling partnerships. And I think that you guys have a lot in common. I think that's part of the reason why this is happening is you've got these two kings or this king and this knight, because he is a little bit older than you, where perhaps maybe you guys are being a little bit, you know, reactionary. There is a lot of connection. There is a lot of attraction and passion, but also there's a lot of fear that history can repeat itself and that there can be a connection that would not be reciprocated. And I think that you guys both have a lot of the same concerns.
Okay.
Have you considered maybe? I mean, how long are you going to wait before you tell him how you feel about him?
Oh my gosh, I'm not even getting into that right now. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Are you guys friends on social media?
Yeah, on one social media.
Okay.
Just one of them.
Not on your ghost account?
No. The real thing. Okay, I'm gonna put one more card. I want to know if Crazy is gone.
If Crazy's gone. Okay, guys. AKA Voldemort. So this is his
Just
X.
one? Yeah, X. I don't even like to use X anymore because I don't know what I was doing. But I wish him love and light.
That's a nice way to put it.
You know? No, I do. I really mean that.
Yeah, you want to send people away with that because I feel like if you harbor feelings or if you harbor emotions...
But now I'm back.
The Chariot. I see that as a good thing. Well, first of all, people look at the Chariot and they see that as a movement card.
Okay.
So this is certainly saying, you know, it's moving, it's happening. The Chariot is also the card for Cancer, which is fascinating considering that we were just talking about everything that's happening and what's going on. Yeah. Know that while we're in Cancer season, and I know a little bit about him, he's got quite a few planets in Capricorn. So those of us like you and I who have all these planets in Capricorn.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit confused. Who are we talking about now? Crazy or new guy?
Crazy.
Okay.
Because you're talking about Crazy.
Capricorn.
Are you talking about Crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Chariot's basically saying something is picking up momentum. And now this is about your direction, whether this is you picking up your stuff and going, later, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Or somebody potentially coming back in. Give me another card.
Oh, gosh.
Because that's movement.
Okay.
But that's also about the direction that you're going in. I don't know if he's coming back. Four of Swords. No, he's gone. He's not necessarily gone. He's kind of just taking a break. The Chariot card still does suggest you got to kind of get through the month of July and make sure that you're in the clear. But what I think is fascinating, you know, this is about resting from the situation. And so much about this
He's resting from the plotting to come back and kill me or something. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think that he may not be intending on coming back at the moment. And I also see the Chariot and the Four of Swords as you're like, you know what, this is a done situation. This is dead. I need to pick up my stuff and go in another direction.
Yeah.
So let's hope so.
So, okay, just one more, because the worst thing would just be to like bump into them somewhere in public. Oh gosh, that's not a real card. Okay.
To bump into them in public. That's my favorite thing, though.
No, it's not mine because I get really
Ace
red.
of Pentacles. I mean, honestly, I feel like to be honest with you, I see the Ace of Pentacles as a very long-term card. So it's like that would be like almost like years in a sense for me.
Okay.
So I don't see this being something that's going to be happening if your radar is going off and you're afraid you're going to run into him. I don't think so. I think that this is a pretty safe scenario. But also it's like this is saying you actually got something valuable out of just letting it be. And like you're solid. The Ace of Pentacles is you're solid. You've got what you need. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
I hope all of them see this though.
Really?
Secretly. Part of me just wants to just take this and plot this on a doorstep or something.
That's so funny.
Send it from an anonymous email.
Okay, cool. Well, that makes me rest easy. I
Yeah,
don't know why I still want you to read that one, because that's nearly been a year. It'll actually be a year in July 22nd, since I even saw that.
Ugh.
Like, come on. I need to, I don't know. Anyway, so, new moon.
New moon, new intentions, Cancer.
Are you allowed to talk about your intentions out loud? What are your intentions?
For this? Well, this new moon is conjunct my midheaven. And
what does that mean? What's your midheaven?
The tip-top part of my chart, like the 12 o'clock part of my chart. And it's about what I'm aiming to do or how I'm being seen and where I'm going.
Okay.
And for me, it's so close. It's 2 degrees away, which means I'm aware that in the next 6 months, a lot of how I'm viewed and how I'm seen out there in the world and what I'm doing as somebody who is doing work in the healing and spiritual arts field, Cancer, is changing and it's evolving. And this is part of it. This is definitely part of it. But I also feel like part of this is just me wanting to go the complete opposite direction with what a lot of people are saying. And I'm getting to the point where I feel like I don't know who else to be other than me. So I'm going to do it my own way.
Which is almost a great place to be. No?
It is, but it's really weird when you're alongside a lot of other people who are very successful and have figured out a way to communicate things and get points across and follow a formula or follow a certain way of life. And I feel like that's not the only way to do it. That you can be a real person and be spiritually inclined and have a sense of humor and fuck up and live life and learn through experiences. And not everything is going to be a weekly transit report. There are some things that are going to happen that you cannot take into account astrologically that will just happen and kind of just broadside you. And that's the purpose. And I think that I have just decided that the direction that I want to go with a lot of things is like speaking from experience and not putting myself on a pedestal and instead putting myself in a situation where I can use the experiences to teach and to help other people and to also tell other people it's okay. Like, you're human. So I'm working on that, working on being okay and not being so sensitive about judgment about the work that I do.
That's awesome.
What about you, Boo?
I don't know. Maybe a bit of letting go.
Okay.
It's about fucking time, right?
Yeah.
Bit of letting go, doing things differently. I feel like I've been doing things differently for most of this year, and this has been a pretty fucking good year.
This has been a very fast year.
It's been a very fast year, but it's been a good year.
Yeah.
You know? Been busy, and it's summer, and I'm super happy, and I went to the beach today, and I've done lots of traveling, so I would like to continue in that way. But
it's your 9th house too. It hits in your 9th house, so it is about travel, setting new travel intentions.
That's interesting, but it's definitely letting go.
Okay.
And I think for the longest time, the reason that I thought that I couldn't was because I had done something wrong, and I had this guilt or this shame or this whatever. But I don't even think it's that anymore. I just think it's learning. It's learning to go, oh, that happened to me. So what?
But that's what I'm saying too. So it's the same.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me being a little bit more vocal about it.
Well, just being more articulate than me because I don't know how to talk.
That's not true. You speak the Queen's English.
I know, not very well though. She would be embarrassed. That's why they sent me to America.
Oh.
They got rid of me. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I'm excited to, I don't know, be back and talk about the next segment we're going to do, the next guest that we're going to have. And we are also able to do a little bit of it live, which was really fun.
Cool,
and about soon now, we're going to be dropping everything. So you guys are just seeing this, but this is right about the time that we're actually getting ready to release it. So
Hi, guys. Hi. We have an email address.
We do.
You should write to us, magichour.podcast@outlook.com.
Send us your questions, comments, topics, things you want to say, things you want to know. We'll answer questions probably at the end of a couple segments once we get this out there. Mm-hmm. We also want to tell you guys, please keep watching. Keep up with us. Oh, my phone's ringing.
Someone's phone is freaking out.
And keep up with us and check in with us if there's something you want us to chat about. We will continue to be back, and we have some really exciting guests that I'm excited to have. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. I don't want to jinx it, but it's going to be good. And
thanks for sticking with us.
Thank you for staying with us.
We love you guys, and we hope that you get a little something out of this every week.
Oh, they will.
Yeah,
even if it's just ranting and raving. I hope that they do. Big thank you to Kill the Messenger for having us.
Amazing Hugo.
And
Eric, production manager Sean, who runs the joint. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And we will see you next week. This has been the Magic Hour Podcast.
Bye.